at the beginning of the story. Quentyn believed he was robbing a bank without even bothering to cover his face, but it turned out to be a money exchange office. An employee even pointed him toward the nearest real bank, and he immediately carried out the robbery there. It did not take long for the police to arrive and chase Quentyn all the way to a cinema where Ice Age was playing. Instead of escaping, he got absorbed in watching the movie until the police dragged him out. Quentyn was placed in a cell with other inmates. He tried to strike up a conversation, but his new cellmate did not want to be bothered. Quentyn kept talking non-stop until the man became angry and attacked him. Although Quentyn appears foolish, he is actually very strong. The warden became unsure where to place him because he kept fighting with his cellmates. Everyone knows how irritating Quentyn can be. Even the prison psychiatrist was overwhelmed by his behavior and told the warden that Quentyn was not insane. He was simply extremely stupid. Now we move to the other main character, a criminal named Ruby, who had just finished a date with a woman. Ruby did not realize they were being followed by the henchmen of a mafia boss named Vogle. Vogle, who could not stand seeing his girlfriend with Ruby, quickly took action. At the same time, an armored vehicle transporting money was robbed by a group of men who turned out to be Vogle's subordinates. They nearly escaped with the cash, but Ruby intervened and seized the suitcases. Back in prison, Quentyn was transferred to another cell, but his constant chatter once again caused trouble. Meanwhile, Ruby was captured after successfully hiding the stolen money. He refused to speak to Detective Fernot, even when the detective brought up the female hostage killed by Vogle. Ruby used to work for Vogle and apparently stole the money to avenge Sandra's death. Detective Fernot left Ruby with the warden after witnessing the chaos Quentyn caused. The warden then put Quentyn in Ruby's cell in hopes that Ruby would finally talk. When the two main characters met, Quentyn immediately started rambling again, even commenting that Ruby's eyes looked like a horse's. Ruby stayed silent. Detective Fernot and the warden kept observing them, but their strategy did not succeed. Elsewhere, Vogle learned that Ruby still would not speak. He instructed his men to remain alert, believing Ruby would attempt an escape. Quentyn seemed comfortable in prison life, and even told the warden that Ruby was a good companion because he could talk endlessly without getting into a fight. One night, Quentyn shared his dream of opening a small shop and invited Ruby to join him. He was so caught up in his storytelling that he failed to notice Ruby trying to take his own life. The next day, Quentyn felt very lonely after Ruby was moved to another cell. He even went on a hunger strike out of concern. In another impulsive act, he injured his own hand. He later found Ruby in the infirmary and was overjoyed, not realizing he was sitting on a deceased patient until a nurse pointed it out. He was simply happy to be in the same room as Ruby. The psychiatrist warned that if Ruby continued behaving that way, he would be transferred to a mental hospital. Quentyn insisted on being transferred as well and threatened to smash his head against the wall, which he actually did. Thankfully, his injury was minor. Upon waking, his only question was where Ruby was. Ruby was placed in isolation and given sedatives to stop him from escaping. Just before receiving the medication, he finally spoke and offered money to a nurse in exchange for help escaping. The nurse contacted Vogle. Vogle was furious, questioning why he should pay 100,000 euros to free Ruby when the 20 million euros were still missing. Nevertheless, he agreed, knowing that if Ruby were declared insane, he would lose any chance of recovering the money. Meanwhile, Quentyn managed to enter the mental hospital and searched for Ruby. Their escape plan involved using an ambulance. Vogle's men waited outside. Suddenly, Quentyn pushed Ruby onto a crane mechanism to help him escape. Martin arrived to assist, but was drunk again, creating confusion with the crane. When police sirens sounded, Martin ran off, leaving Quentyn and Ruby suspended outside the hospital. Detective Fernot soon arrived, astonished that Quentyn had managed to escape with Ruby. As they fled, they hid in a toy store, stole some money, and Quentyn grabbed a few toys. On the road, Vogle's men tried to stop them, but through teamwork, Quentyn and Ruby defeated them and stole their BMW. During the drive, Quentyn played with the toys, making farm animal noises. Vogle called the car phone and heard the strange sounds, leading him to assume they were in the countryside despite the GPS tracker. The police later arrested Martin at a bar and assumed Quentyn was the mastermind. Ruby, still suspicious, decided to abandon Quentyn and pushed him out of the car, injuring his shoulder. Feeling guilty, Quentyn helped treat the injury. After realizing they were being tracked by GPS, they left the car and entered a house to change clothes. Quentyn recognized the homeowner as a professional horse rider and showed a photo of a horse that resembled Ruby. It truly did. They took the wife's clothes, another car, and the horse photo. The BMW they left behind was stolen by someone else, and Vogle's men chased the wrong vehicle. When they intercepted it, Ruby and Quentyn appeared, beat them, and stole yet another car. Ruby answered Vogle's call again, infuriating him further. Eventually, Vogle learned Ruby was heading toward his headquarters and ordered his men to take a different route to arrive first. Ruby began adopting Quentyn's playful deception and phoned Vogle's men with false information about the route. Soon, police pursued them again after a tip-off. They fled on foot and were confronted by two young men attempting to mug them, but the situation quickly reversed. Ruby wanted to part ways with Quentyn to carry out a dangerous plan, but Quentyn refused to leave. Their argument escalated, and Ruby struck Quentyn. Ruby was later shot in the leg during another clash with police. They continued traveling, though their vehicle attracted attention again. Police nearly caught Quentyn stealing another car, but Ruby intervened. They returned to Quentyn's hometown, where he treated Ruby's wound in a shop he dreamed of reopening together. Ruby suggested Quentyn surrender to authorities since he was not a murderer and promised him money to start the shop. A homeless woman named Katya entered, reminding Ruby of Sandra. After being frightened by Quentyn's antics, she returned because she had nowhere else to go. Ruby comforted her during a nightmare. Meanwhile, Vogle and his men stayed on guard. Secretly, Quentyn phoned Vogle, offering to help capture Ruby in exchange for money, a conversation Katya overheard. The following day, Ruby took Katya to a cemetery where he had hidden the stolen cash and gave her money for a hotel. She revealed what she had heard about Quentyn's call. In truth, Quentyn's plan was to distract Vogle's men at the shop while Ruby infiltrated Vogle's residence. Detective Ferno arranged round-the-clock surveillance around Vogle's house, convinced Ruby would appear. At the shop, Vogle's men beat Quentyn after being misled, but Ruby arrived just in time to save him. Ruby thanked him, but moved forward with another plan. They captured Vogle's men and infiltrated the headquarters. Quentyn pleaded with Ruby not to kill Vogle. At the headquarters, they confronted Vogle. He shot Ruby in the leg, but Quentyn suddenly appeared and shot Vogle. Though wounded, Vogle managed to shoot Quentyn before the police arrived and surrounded the area. Ruby, deeply worried, promised they would open the shop together. It turned out Quentyn had used that promise to ensure Ruby would keep his word.